Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be going over the O Pen 2 in copper. Olight has since released the O Pen 2 in copper and in gunmetal gray since their release of the O Pen 2 back in August. We have the original black pen here, and with the first batch of these pens there was an ink problem with the pen itself, and these refills have somewhat fixed the ink problems. There's still a little bit of problems with the ink and that they still leak in some cases, and that in other cases the writing isn't smooth with the ink coming down. However, there's a workaround. Someone on the internet called AZ Printsmith, I believe is his name, has designed cartridges, 3D printed cartridges, to hold Fisher space pens inside the pen. I'll leave a link in the description. This way you guys can find out where to go to get the 3D printed holder for the Fisher space refills. With that refill, it's been reported that it's been a better writing experience with the Olight O Pen 2. We're going to go ahead and open up our copper here and see what it looks like. So here we can see the box a little bit bigger than the normal box you would get. These are a limited run and you can no longer buy them on the website. And I've opened this one up, the plastic cover, and we can see inside it has the usual instruction part right here. This comes with a protective cap, which is interesting. And inside it should be a sealed, vacuum sealed product. And I do have to say the weight is definitely a little bit heavier. I think this is on the order of 77 grams versus 48 grams of the original O Pen. And definitely a good looking light there to have on you as well. The UI has changed with the O Pen 2 copper in the sense that we'll demonstrate it here. If you momentarily hold this down, it'll give you a momentary light on and it goes off. With the O Pen 2 copper, the UI has changed to lockout mode, so you can lock out the light. I'll demonstrate it later on in the video here. We get an extra refill here. Not a fancy plastic case like the normal O Pens come in, but you still get the same accessories. You get an ink refill and you get a USB-C recharging cable. This is the O Pen 2 in copper outside of the package. It comes with a plastic cap on it. I would definitely keep the cap if you're planning to put it on your other O Pen 2, or to keep something from accidentally turning on the original model. We did mention before that the UI difference here is minimal. The one exception being that this features a lockout mode. To engage the lockout mode, you would hold down the power button and then it'll turn off, and then to try to turn it on you'll get a red LED, meaning that it's in lockout mode. To unlock it, you hold down the button here and it turns back on within 2 seconds. The original O Pen 2 does not have it, so the value of having this plastic cap on here could be something you might want to look into, or keeping at least. I plan on keeping at least one of these in my EDC bag, so this will be valuable in keeping the light from getting accidentally turned on. So definitely save it if you're looking to do that. Moving along, the copper is a nice, beautiful finish. It'll patina in time, but right now it's still a beautiful looking piece. I've heard people say if you want to preserve the shine of the copper, you can add a wax coating to this. I don't know how effective that's going to be, but it is something to keep in mind. The clip looks very nice. I've seen people put tritium vials in the little spot here, so you can do that with your O Pens if you want. I definitely could see that happening with the copper here. The LEDs in both of these are a little bit different based on my eye. And what I mean by that is the right side, the original, appears to be a little bit bluer haze than, or a little bit bluer temperature, cooler temperature than the copper version here. And this is on low mode, the moonlight mode for both of them. We're shooting at a temperature rating of I think about 3000 Kelvin on the camera, with a aperture 7.1, and FPS is 24 fips with an ISO of 400 on our Panasonic GH2. So those are the color tints, I guess. I'm not sure if there's a unique variation with the copper, or if they're using the same oshram P3737 emitter, or it could be a different housing in front. It could be a number of things that have changed the color. It could be just the fluctuation in the actual bin of LEDs that they use. Regardless, the color difference is noted in these two models here. This is an early access one I bought off of eBay when it first came out, and then this I got off the Thanksgiving sale. Moving along, the action is a little bit smoother, and I think that's due because of the actual material this plunger goes up against. This has more of a click sound to it. I will note that I did lose the original spring in here, so I had to replace the other one inside with a slightly stronger spring, so it gives me a little bit more resistance. That being said, the L-bolt mechanism on here is still nice in my opinion. Some guys will disagree. That's fine, each to their own opinion. I do note that in a copper it's much more smoother and less resistant. I can tell based on the material going up against the copper inside. Much like the O Pen 2, you can unscrew the top here. We have the O-ring. We have some decent threads on here keeping it together. And then we have our USB-C recharging port, and then the inside part of the copper part of the pen here. Screws on nicely, nice and tight. We've got a copper clip here, which is very nice. And we also have the access point for the ink cartridge. So we have an O-ring, threads look pretty good, cartridge looks pretty good, good to go. Let's go ahead and put this back together and get a light test and a drawing test. I'm going to start with the O Pen 2 in black first for comparison. The ink cartridge is a replacement cartridge that came with the 3-pack that I got from Olight. That's with heavy pressure. This line's going to be with light pressure. Very light pressure. So there's no skip in the lines, luckily. Let's try the copper here and see how well that does. So this is going to be heavy pressure. And for reference, this paper is basic printer paper, 20-pound printer paper, run-of-the-mill stuff. You can find it in any office store. This is with light pressure. I lifted up the pen in the beginning, just so you can, the spot I lifted it up by accident. So we'll do that again. Light pressure with just the weight of the pen. The lines seem to be flowing pretty smoothly. In the black initial one, there was some thinning of the lines here and here, but it still maintained true. True, off, Olight. I don't have the best handwriting, but you can kind of get an idea of how this pen writes. I want to note that the cartridge that comes with the O Pen 2 copper has a little bit of a sealing glue or wax, I think, on the tip. You'll have to remove the little tip part here. I know you can't see it with the camera, but it's a little red tip here. You got to remove that, and then you'll be able to write and draw on paper. This was a drawing I was doing in pencil, and I decided just to go over it with the O Pen 2 in black. The inking experience wasn't so great, but it wasn't so bad either. You can see I have a few blotches here and over here. The ink does run smoothly if you're not running over graphite like I was. That could be attributed to my user error or my artistic inefficiency. That being said, we're just testing out the ink flow with, let's say, drawing. I know most of you guys are probably just going to be using this for writing, but this is kind of like an extreme example of using the pen here. Okay, we're shooting an aperture 7.1 at frames 50, ISO 1250, at a temperature rating of 3000. Let's start with the O Pen 2 in black on low mode. This is moonlight mode. Low, medium, and high. I'll do that again slowly. Low, medium, high. We're about 5 inches off the table here. We're doing this primarily for the color difference here. Let's turn this off and start with the O Pen 2 copper. That's in low, about the same distance off the table. Low 2, or the true low. Medium, then high. Let's do that again. That's low 2, medium, high. Let's compare the lows to each other. Now, this appears to have a slightly bluer tint than the left side here, which is the copper. The copper appears to be slightly, a tiny bit whiter than the original black. Let's go and bump it up to L2. see if I can detect a difference, a little bit more of a difference. There's a slight bit of difference there, but not too much to really notice if you're not looking for it. Medium. And it's about evening out, and then finally high for both. I just want to give a shout out to Olight April for helping me out. I had an issue with tracking on some of the split shipments that Olight was doing for the Thanksgiving sale. So she found me pretty quickly and helped me out. And I wanted to say good job, great customer service, and keep doing what you're doing, and thank you. Overall, I think the O Pen 2 in copper is a decent pen for around $60 to $70. Keep in mind, if you want to use Fisher Space ink refills with this, you might have to spend a little bit more to do that. With that being said, it did address the issue of a non-lockout mode on the original O Pen 2, which is a good upgrade. The material is solid and a beautiful finish. I think that's an upgrade too. Even though it's at a cost of weight, I don't actually mind holding this in my hand. It feels like an actual high quality pen. Not that this isn't, it's just, it feels more of a high quality thing to me, subjectively speaking. As far as it goes for drawing in art and say inking or drawing with a pen, you can do that, but in my experience, in my subjective experience, it's not as fun as a regular professional ink pen or a just even an average pen, if you will, a gel-filled pen. But that being said, this isn't really designed to be an artist pen, so you can't really fault these pens for that. They're just a practical type of pen. I just happen to draw, so I happen to be curious about what it looked like if I were to do artwork with these pens, which I can to a degree. So to be fair, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. That being said, I think some rooms for improvement on this would be to make a more modular system accepting of different cartridges, maybe include a 3D little printed insert that goes with the O Pen 2 line or the O Pen 3 future model that can take a variety of different cartridges. You wouldn't have to sacrifice on your design necessarily. You make a interchangeable piece that can go inside and accept different types of cartridges like AZ Printsmith is doing. Also, like I've mentioned before numerous times, having an interchangeable battery system might be worth it, so that when these batteries inside of here die for whatever reason, you can replace them and still continue to use this light as it was meant to be used, as a pen light combo. Overall, I do recommend buying this light. It's a beautiful piece, and it's my first copper light of any kind, technically speaking, even though it's a pen light combo. But that's all I have to say about this pen. It's a beautiful pen. Check it out. Thanks for watching.